Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're jumping down into the world for Vechain, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what I would expect to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, a link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not go ahead and check that out today. And if you are unfamiliar, we've actually just restarted the podcast, so why not check that out as well in the description down below. It's a great way to stay up to date with all the crypto's latest news and price action, etc., whilst you're on your commute to the office. So why not check that out as well in the description below. Okay guys, let's waste no more time though. Let's talk about Vechain paired up with USDT on this hourly chart. Binance is the data source. And to start with, I just want to zoom out a little bit because we were tracking this this 5-wave move to the downside, and what's really quite hard to get my head around a little bit here is so from an Elliott wave theory perspective, right, what have we got so far? Well, we've got a 5 3 5 3, technically 5, right? So it's possible that this 2-cent area just here is actually done. That could be our bottom, right? However, at least for this structure, it could be. We could also be tracking something pretty bearish, and I want to go through what that might look like, okay? Because I think the lows for Vechain could be very, very dramatic if this plays out, okay? There's no guarantee that this is correct, mind. I do think there's going to be some room to the downside. We might see new structures that take us down lower, because we do have some macro moves that have to kind of play out a little bit lower than where we are at the moment. But if I were to think of that as the 5th wave here, just completing it, then that's fine. We've got 1 2 3 4 5 and we are kind of done there, right? And that's all inside of a 5th wave down on a macro scale, right? So again, we'd have all of this structure coming on in, taking us down to these lows, and we're basically completing down here, and that looks okay. The only caveat to this, or the kind of the more bearish scenario, is that we're getting an overextended 5th wave, and if this is the case, then all we've actually seen so far is just wave 1, with all this being wave 2, okay? And for that to kind of play out, we cannot cross higher than the origin of our wave 1, which basically would be 2.590, okay? So 2590, we cannot cross higher than that. If we cross higher than that, then we don't have an overextended wave, and what we'll look for is something different, okay? Now, what makes me think we've got this overextension going on? Well, the only reason that I'm looking at this data and I'm thinking the corrections are not done is the momentum behind the price isn't where it needs to be. We're actually seeing movements with very little volume. We are not seeing good structure, and essentially the stochastic RSI across some of these larger macros, they're in the overbought area, right? So we're almost overbought on the daily, we're overbought on the 8-hour, we're overbought on the 4-hour, and the daily does need to also pull back down. So I'm thinking reversal is very, very likely. It's likely to come, and it's likely to come down pretty hard. Now, if this is the case, this is a very, very bearish scenario for Vechain. Okay, if we take that high and we take that low point from our fib level and we put this on top of the recent high just up here at 2523, which I think I would just check to make sure that's definitely it's 2519. So I'll just go ahead and lower the fib down to there, and this would actually tell us that we are likely to come down to 1.6 before we bounce, right? And again, that would probably be a 5-wave structure that will look something similar to this, taking us just to this point here. And all of that would be a wave 3, okay, which means we would bounce up and then have further downside. So it's possible that we start to slip right the way down here into these much, much lower ranges on Vechain. Now, there's no guarantee of anything, right? But what I would be looking at here is basically a wave 1, a wave 2, a wave 3, a wave 4, and a wave 5. Right, and we want to be quite cautious on this. It's probably a bit too deep, to be fair. We'll probably be talking probably 1.5, something like that. So I think it's one of those, right? I can't guarantee that this will play out. Invalidation for this move is set at 25.91. So we hit past 25.91, then we're done, right? This isn't a possible scenario. We can still come down, but it wouldn't be under these structures, right? It would be something totally different that would get us there. And again, I wouldn't know where they would go. We'd have to analyze these moves in a little bit more detail, specifically these upward directional moves. Like, what is going on here? Why are we becoming so overbought so quickly from this reversal and all that kind of stuff? So we'd get into deeper understanding as to what's going on there. But this is a bit of a glaring, obvious move when we had 5 waves come down, which could mark the end of the correction. There's no reason why not. It's just not really what I was expecting to kind of have on that kind of that low point. Although 2 cent flat is an interesting level in itself, but the momentum behind the price is the main concern here. Downward price action is highly likely at this stage, and we're trying to figure out, what pattern, what structure are we going to take to the downside for this, and how low is it likely to go? So for Vechain here, I think maybe 1.5. It's a little bit of speculation at this point to see how low this thing could go. If it overextends, it's all going to be about this wave 3, and if we can come down to 1.662 on that third wave down, then a bounce, and then 1.5 is highly likely at that point, in my opinion. So we should keep a pretty close eye on Vechain. I know that we've been kind of dollar cost averaging. Many of the community have been into Vechain at these low prices, and I still think that's a very good idea for many retail investors. Slowly kind of build up those positions, even though I am expecting some lower lows still to come on in here. I don't think the bottom is necessarily there yet. And some more DCA opportunities will be presented in the near future in these lower ranges as well. So all of that looks pretty good and looks okay, but we should be cautious to a degree as well. So this market can obviously reverse very, very quickly with very little kind of buying pressure. Okay, so it'll be interesting to kind of see how it plays out. Let's see if we actually push up higher than 25.9. If we do, then that invalidates this bearish scenario, and that's going to be fantastic in itself. But it does mean that a new structure is going to appear to the downside, in my opinion, because we are so overbought. And the question then becomes, do we start another new set of structural 5-wave moves to the downside? And if that's the case, it could be even more bearish than what we currently present within this overextension. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what potentially happens over the next few days with the price action of VET and where it actually lands, because right now it's looking like it could potentially go in either direction. A slight push higher before a correction could take us into an invalidation of this overextension, and likewise a drop right down could confirm that actually this overextension is highly likely, and therefore our lows are kind of potentially going to be below 2 cent, potentially heading down towards that 1 cent range. So guys, I'm going to leave the video there. It's a nice and brief update, just kind of give you my thoughts and opinions on Vechain as I see it right now. If you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and you'll stay up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.